One of the biggest problems with growing a business is cash flow, especially when you are dealing with a digital marketing agency or really any kind of service business, because typically you have to carry costs before you actually get paid back. So you need to have X amount of dollars up front that you're able to utilize to actually service the contract, and then you invoice and get net payment terms. So net 30, you might get paid 30 days later, 45 days later, 60 days later, whatever it is. That is from my experience, biggest thing that puts companies like mine out of business. Now, if you're new here, my name is Greg Clunis. I am building Kojo. We are a creator-powered media company helping consumer brands win on social media and drive real measurable results from their creator partnerships. This series is me just trying to build in public and document the process. Now, a little bit of background as far as where we are today. Today is May 28th, 2025. And we're about to cross $1 million in gross revenue for the year. For those who don't know, this company was previously under a different name. It used to be called Creatorhood. Last year, Creatorhood did 3.3 million. We moved to Kojo, created the new name, brought over all of our clients, brought over our team. I'm projecting roughly the same numbers this year. As of a couple days ago, we are on track for that. So all is good in that department. One of the problems with making a lot of revenue is when you are in the agency game. To earn that revenue, you have to spend money to execute those campaigns. When you get a deal, you might be, and this is obviously you can negotiate, but we tend to work with enterprise clients, so there's less room for negotiation. You might get what's called an SOW, a statement of work, that says this contract is going to pay out $500,000. And that's amazing. Let's say it costs you $300,000 to actually execute that campaign. Typically, you have to cover that $300,000 in order to execute the campaign to be able to invoice so that you can get paid back and actually make your money. It's the most mind-boggling thing because any business out there, you say, we're going to pay you $500,000, that should be a win. But one thing I'm learning operating in this space is that sometimes making money can actually put you out of business if you're not careful. So that's been a huge learning and a weird thing to experience. So cash flow is the number one thing that is at risk of putting us out of business. And this is true for most agencies. Today, we had a huge win in this regard. There's this thing called invoice factoring. The idea behind invoice factoring is when you have an invoice, it's made almost exclusively for agencies and companies like mine that are working on net payment terms. But when you have an invoice, again, let's go back to the $500,000 example. You have that invoice and you are able to then effectively sell it to somebody else. You sell it to the factoring company and they pay you something like 80 or 90% of the value of that invoice upfront. So you get it day one. Now you have the funds to execute the campaign, you finish out the campaign, then the factoring company, they handle collecting that payment from the client, and then they take their percentage, which can be anywhere from like 1 to let's say 5%, depending on the factor, and they give you the rest of it. So you might end up with keeping like 96%, 97% of your invoice value, and you're paying 3% to get the cash sooner. If you're able to make the margins work, or something that I highly recommend is to start building that premium into your pricing. But if you're able to do that, it solves that problem entirely. You get access to capital when you need it. You're able to execute, plan, hire, and make decisions around cash flow because you know that when a project comes in, you're actually going to get that cash, able to use it and do something with it. And we've been going through this process of getting set up with invoice factoring and a factoring partner. But we've run into a lot of roadblocks. We've run into roadblocks with getting external funding anyway, regardless of the fact that we're on track to do 3.3 million this year. Getting access to funds in a business that is less than 2 years old is a nightmare. Like, it has been such a challenge, so many roadblocks, so many walls that you just wouldn't expect to run into. We've been going through this process And we found a partner that was willing to help us navigate the process, willing to look at this first year of messiness between the original company Creatorhood and this new company Kojo and work with us. Thankfully, I just got the call earlier that we got approved. We are going to be able to factor through them, which is huge. I don't think you fully understand how incredible this is, because what it enables us to do, and this is key, we primarily work with enterprise clients at this point. We have a number of other potential enterprise clients on our list, people that we've already spoken to. There's going to be an opportunity to pitch, and there's a real chance that we get those accounts. Before invoice factoring came through, it would have put us out of business. Like, it legitimately would have put us out of business, because if we closed another enterprise deal, every account or every contract we get for our main client costs us money to execute, and then we have to wait to get paid back. If we closed a second one of those, we straight up wouldn't have the cash to actually execute those contracts. Now, because of factoring, we're going to be able to get access to that cash immediately and use it to execute the campaign, grow our accounts, and grow our team, and make decisions for the long term. So this is huge. This is one of those things that I'm going to look back in a few years and see this was a turning point for the business. This is the kind of thing that is the difference between us going out of business and us actually achieving what we're trying to achieve. I'll see you in the next one.